Okay, so this is my toe pincher coffin that we made. Me and Ron Sharp, one of my friends, and we basically we made it out of actually twice as thick of wood, but we actually took all these boards and split them right down the middle with a table saw, which was I don't know, pretty complex to do. We did the cross in the door with a skill saw. It was originally stapled together, but it quickly started falling apart, and I had to reinforce everything with screws everywhere. But now it's been around for a good probably about 8 years now that I've had it. So it's really holding up well. Putting it out every Halloween and using it for little movie skits and things like that. The outside, actually I just used a paint on it, like a dark brown paint. Usually I would stain something like this with a rag and get the wood grain texture out to come out really good, but this actually worked out really good just painting it straight out, and that paint being on there is really thick and it's really weather protected it. Now the skeleton, as you can see, is really aged really well. Well, it turned out great. I think it's awesome. All I did for that is to spray brown paint onto it with spray paint, and then quickly rub it off with a cotton rag before it could dry. And it just kind of leaves the paint in all the little grooves mainly, but also kind of stains the rest, because this was just completely a bright white skeleton, and quite honestly it didn't look very interesting, and I put it off for years not wanting to do it, but I'm glad I finally did, because it's so much better. Now this skeleton isn't like your typical plastic Walmart skeleton, which those are pretty good, but this is a little better. This is a Bucky skeleton, which is basically an anatomy skeleton. They call them Bucky skeletons when they have some kind of flaws, and then they sell them for like half price, like I think it was $85. It could have been 65, something like that. And so basically, if they have some kind of flaw, then they sell them as a Bucky skeleton for Halloween, because they're not very useful for anatomical skeleton for a classroom. And one thing about this skeleton, it weighs a good 40 pounds. So if you're thinking about getting one, you gotta factor that in. They are heavy. This coffin weighs probably about 60 pounds by itself. That's a lot of wood. As far as the coffin liner is concerned, I actually went on the web and watched real morticians, like a how-to video of how they staple in the cloth, which is usually like a silk or something nice, for making coffins. And it's funny, they just kind of fold and staple it in and kind of create a pattern. And the one thing about it is it's not really high quality work, because they're just going to show it for one day and then it's going to be buried, so it doesn't really have to be in there real well. For my purposes though, for Halloween stuff, I'd really prefer that it lasts quite a long time. As you can see, mainly I use tack nails because they're a little more discreet. Along here, I actually use staples though, like wood staples. But those are a little more obvious. Usually, if you really want to do a good job, they put a finishing layer, like kind of a lacy cloth across there, and they staple it, and then they just fold it down over this, and it just kind of hangs down and covers up all your staples. And this is just a little makeshift pillow I made out of foam, and I just made a little cover for it out of cotton. And this right here, it's actually got some green foam under there, although that green shows through, so you can either use a couple layers of cloth over it, or you can use a different colored foam would be good. Or for something like this where it's really not designed for people, you could just put the cloth over it and staple that in. And to get that bottom liner in, you just push it up to the side, and it comes up the side a little bit, and you just push your stapler right up against there. But in general, you push the stapler right against there and just tack it in all the way around. And then you cover it later with the next layer, which would be this folded layer. Now, how you create this folded layer, pleated, is that you staple it there, and then you fold it over and staple again. Then you bring it up here, and you create a fold, and you pull this back, staple it there, and staple it there, or tack nail it, whatever you're going to do. And you just keep going all the way around. One thing that's important about making the coffins is there's always got to be all these little posts that all these boards are going to nail to, otherwise how would they fit together, you know? And usually coffins are made 2 boards high, and then you've got boards across the back because all these boards are running lengthwise. And then you put boards across the back in a couple places, 2 to 3. I think this one has 3 to hold all the running boards together. Kind of the same thing here. You can see there's these boards all the way across it that hold the running boards together.